In the 5th year of our marriage, my husband showed up with his mistress and their illegitimate child, begging me to let them be together. When my mother-in-law found out, she demanded I divorce my husband immediately and surrender our home to her new daughter-in-law and precious grandson. I smiled faintly and agreed without hesitation. Whoever wants to jump into this pit of fire is welcome to it. Wendy, hurry up and sign the divorce papers. My mother-in-law sat on the sofa with an air of righteous indignation. I couldn't help curling my lips into a smirk, but still managed to put on a pitiful, wronged expression as I looked at Justin. Justin frowned. Wendy, after all these years you still can't bear a child. We shouldn't delay this any longer. I pinched my thigh hard, finally squeezing out a few tears. Standing nearby, Maggie said with a sarcastic tone, "Ah, who told me to be so lucky with my womb? The first try was a son. Sister, you'd better leave quickly." Hearing this, I curled my lips. Who knows whose child this is? It's not like I'm the one who can't have kids anyway. Justin pulled Maggie behind him and walked up to me with a tender expression. Wendy, we've been together for so many years. You wouldn't want to see me without a child of my own, would you? Let's part on good terms. Looking at the hypocritical Justin before me, I felt nauseated and wanted to tear off his mask. I sighed and nodded, pretending to be reluctant. Justin, Maggie, and my mother-in-law's eyes lit up. My mother-in-law sighed in relief, her tone softening as she handed me the divorce agreement. Wendy, Mom knows you're a good girl. It's just that our families weren't meant to be. Sign this, and I'll still treat you like a daughter in the future. I sneered inwardly, your own daughter hasn't visited you in years. I picked up the agreement and glanced at it. I'll agree to divorce, but the terms must be rewritten to my specifications. My mother-in-law's expression instantly darkened as she shrieked, Wendy, don't push your luck. My son has been supporting you all these years. 20,000 is more than generous. I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger. You were the ones who made me quit my job to stay home and have children. After years of serving your entire family, this amount wouldn't even cover a part-time housekeeper's wages. I tore up the divorce agreement in my hand. I paid for this house back then, and now half of it is mine. My mother-in-law snorted, your name isn't on the property deed, and it was only 100,000 or so anyway. Justin lowered his head guiltily, Mom, Wendy's name is on the property deed. I raised an eyebrow with a smile and lounged leisurely on the sofa. When we bought the house, we agreed that I would cover most of the down payment, while Justin only contributed a small portion. He was supposed to handle the mortgage payments, and I could help if I had the means. On the day of signing the contract, Justin suddenly suggested putting only his name on the property deed first, promising to include mine when we bought a second home later. Fortunately, my mother had repeatedly warned me beforehand, since we were contributing money, my name should be on the deed. I refused, and seeing my firm stance, Justin relented, listing both our names. Maggie's expression darkened. Justin had previously coaxed her, saying her name would be added to the property deed once she gave birth to their child. Justin's mother walked up to him and scolded, Didn't you tell me before that only your name was on the deed? Now that the property's value has skyrocketed, how much will she take if you divorce? Maggie secretly pinched the child in her arms, making him burst into tears. With tearful eyes, she looked at Justin and said, Justin, I guess I wasn't meant to stay with you. But our child is still so young, he can't end up homeless with me. Justin held Maggie in his arms with a pained expression, shooting me a fierce glare in the process. I felt utterly speechless. It's not like I forced you to cheat. My mother-in-law turned back to me with her previous pleasant expression. Wendy, you've been married into our family for 5 years now. Haven't I treated you quite well during this time? Watching my mother-in-law's ever-changing expressions, I thought it was a shame she hadn't taken up face-changing as an art form. Mom, all these years, I've been the one cleaning the house, doing the laundry, cooking meals, changing light bulbs, and unclogging toilets. Do you really think that counts as treating me well? My mother-in-law's face darkened instantly. Isn't that what a daughter-in-law is supposed to do? I pulled my sleeve back from my mother-in-law's grasp and looked at the three of them. 3 million. Give me 3 million, and I'll agree to the divorce." Justin pushed Maggie aside angrily and stepped toward me. "$3 million? Why don't you just rob a bank? Your startup fund came from me in the first place. Without me, you'd never have reached this position," I said, crossing my arms and leisurely sitting on the sofa, watching Justin fume with anger. My mother-in-law pulled Justin aside and stared at me. I said, "Then we won't get divorced. I'll keep dragging you along and see what you can do about it." Maggie started sobbing again. "Justin, our child will start school in 2 years. Do you want him to live with the stigma of being called a bastard?" I was genuinely impressed by how easily Maggie could summon tears. Justin pondered for a long time. His company was about to enter its second round of funding. If Wendy caused a scene now, everything would be ruined. Justin shot me a glance, his tone dripping with disdain. "Fine, $3 million it is. After the divorce, you're never to show your face in City A again." I rolled my eyes inwardly. If you hadn't begged me to come to City A with you back then, I would never have left my hometown in this lifetime. Justin and I went to file for divorce. If not for the paperwork delaying things by a few days, I would have left immediately. When I returned home to pack my belongings, I saw Maggie eagerly moving in already. Maggie hauled her luggage into the master bedroom, then shouted at me, "Since you're divorced now, surely you don't still plan to live here?" I finished packing my things, picked up my suitcase, ignored her, and walked out. Justin, afraid I might change my mind, transferred me $1 million first. Looking at the numbers on my bank card, I felt fantastic and checked into a luxury hotel to wait for the divorce certificate. I lay soaking in the hotel bathtub, gazing at the bustling cityscape, reminiscing about my past with Justin. I was born and raised in City B, and 10 years ago, I was admitted to the local B City University. During the New Year's Eve party in my sophomore year, I met Justin, who had come to City B to study. I'm tall and decent looking, and I've had quite a few suitors since childhood. But Justin was different from the rest. Because of my straightforward and blunt personality, most of my pursuers were direct. I'd accept those I liked and reject those I didn't without hesitation. Justin kept me hanging with his slow-boiling frog approach, frequently checking in on me, sending small gifts one day, watching a movie together the next, but never confessing his feelings. Over time, I couldn't take it anymore and deliberately spent time with other guys to provoke him. Finally, he grew a little anxious and confessed to me. After we got together, Justin treated me well. The year he graduated with his master's degree coincided with my undergraduate graduation, and he persuaded me to move back to City A with him. But having lived in City B my entire life, I was hesitant about this decision. Later, Justin held me in his arms, tears in his eyes, saying he didn't want to break up or endure a long-distance relationship. Seeing the pitiful look on his face, my heart softened, and despite my family's objections, I followed him to City A. After arriving in City A, I found a job as an editor at a magazine, while Justin chose to start his own business. After a year of struggling, Justin's career still hadn't shown much progress. Watching Justin work so hard every day, my heart ached for him. I invested the savings I had from my university days into his business and even asked a relative in finance to introduce clients to him. 6 months later, Justin's company began to thrive, and he proposed to me. Not long after our marriage, Justin suggested I quit my job to stay home and focus on having children, assuring me he could support us financially. In the first year of our marriage, I didn't get pregnant. Justin said there was no hurry, we'd have opportunities later. In the second year of our marriage, I didn't get pregnant. My mother-in-law brought me a bunch of fertility prescriptions to drink, and Justin remained silent. In the third year of our marriage, I didn't get pregnant. Justin began looking displeased and rarely came home. In the fourth year of our marriage, I didn't get pregnant. Justin often argued with me and moved to live in another house. In the fifth year of our marriage, when I still hadn't gotten pregnant, Justin brought home another woman and their child, demanding a divorce from me. The doorbell interrupted my reminiscence. I put on my bathrobe and opened the door to find Justin's younger sister Lynn standing outside, smiling as she greeted me. I opened the door and asked, "How did you find this place?" Lynn made herself at home on the sofa and said, "I came to congratulate you. Congratulations on escaping that den of wolves too. How did you know I divorced your brother?" "That woman already posted about it, of course I found out." I frowned at Lynn. She explained that Maggie and Justin had been middle school classmates, each other's first love, before Justin's mother tore them apart. Seems Justin had lied to me about many things over the years. Lynn poured herself a glass of water and asked, "After all these years at home, don't you think it's a pity to just leave like this?" I smiled faintly. "Leaving is just the first step. There's more to come." Lynn leaned in. "What are you planning?" "Tell me." "They're your mother and brother. Do you really want to see them suffer that much?" Lynn flopped onto the bed indifferently. "From the day they tried to sell me off, I stopped considering them family. My mother-in-law and father-in-law always favored boys over girls." Lynn grew up with her grandparents in their hometown when she was young. When Lynn was 8 years old, her grandparents passed away, and only then did my in-laws bring Lynn back home. During Lynn's first year of high school, my father-in-law passed away due to illness. My mother-in-law claimed she couldn't afford Lynn's education and wanted her to drop out. It was only after much persuasion from Lynn and the school, along with the school's promise to waive Lynn's tuition, that my mother-in-law relented. Later, when Lynn got into university, my mother-in-law didn't contribute a single penny toward her living expenses or tuition. After I found out, I occasionally sent Lynn some money. 2 years ago, when Justin's company faced financial difficulties, my mother-in-law wanted to marry Lynn off to a middle-aged man in his 50s in exchange for funding Justin's business. Lynn refused vehemently, ran away to another city, and never came back. "Come on, sis, just tell me." Lynn hugged my arm and asked coquettishly. "I'm not your sister-in-law anymore, so stop calling me that." "Then I'll call you Sister Wendy." I took 2 reports from my bag and handed them to Lynn. Lynn stared blankly at the papers before suddenly exclaiming, "Justin's sperm survival rate is only 10%. That child isn't Justin's." 3 months ago, I begged Justin to go for the checkup with me. After much pestering, he reluctantly agreed and left immediately after the examination. I was the one who went back alone to collect the test results. All these years my test showed no issues, and the doctor suggested my husband get checked too. After I mentioned it to Justin, he glared at me angrily, saying there couldn't possibly be anything wrong with him. It wasn't until I saw the child that I understood why he was so confident. I took the report back from Lynn's hands. "It's not yet time to tear off the facade." "Great, just great. Make sure to give me a heads up when the time comes, I wouldn't want to miss the show." I looked at Lynn. "The only question now is, who is the real father of Maggie's child?" Lynn instantly became interested. "I'll go back and gather some intel for you." Maggie lay on the sofa, holding a plate of grapes while watching TV, occasionally bursting into laughter. Her mother-in-law came out holding her grandson and grew irritated at the sight of Maggie lounging so leisurely. She said to the child in her arms, "My dear grandson, when you marry a wife someday, don't forget your mother. Whatever you have, you should prioritize honoring your own mother first." Pretending not to understand, Maggie said, "Mom, he's only 2 years old, he can't comprehend these things." My mother-in-law was absolutely furious. Justin came out of the room adjusting his tie. "Maggie, why isn't my shirt ironed? And where's the tie clip?" "I need to leave now." Maggie replied indifferently, "I'm not your hired nanny, how should I know where your tie clip is?" Pointing at Justin, my mother-in-law fumed. "If it weren't for the child, I would never have allowed her into our family." Hearing this, Maggie exploded. "If Justin hadn't begged me to keep the baby, I wouldn't have wanted to join your family either. With all this wealth, you can't even hire a maid. First you exploited Wendy, and now you want to order me around? Not a chance." Justin could only play the mediator, soothing one person and then the other. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, and Justin quickly escaped the chaos to answer it. "Why are you back?" Standing at the door was Lynn, carrying bags of all sizes. "Mom, brother, I got fired." As soon as Lynn entered, she collapsed onto the sofa, wailing, "Mom, I should have listened to you and married a wealthy businessman." After Lynn's tearful outburst, both the mother-in-law and Maggie stopped their quarreling. My mother-in-law sat down next to Lynn. "If you had listened to me back then, you'd be a wealthy lady now." Sigh, "It's just that the rich businessman got married last year. Next time, Mom will find you someone even richer." Maggie stood to the side holding the child, pursing her lips and casting a disdainful glance at the mother-daughter pair. Lynn, nestled in her mother-in-law's arms, rolled her eyes, thinking to herself, "If it weren't for the entertaining drama, I wouldn't have come back at all." I lay in bed watching a variety show on TV while my phone kept buzzing incessantly beside me. Ever since Lynn returned home, she'd been texting me daily about the chaotic happenings in her household. One day, her mother-in-law would scold Maggie for not doing housework. The next, she'd complain that Maggie only knew how to ask Justin for money. Perhaps Justin truly loves her, since he mostly takes Maggie's side. Annoyed by the argument, I grabbed my phone. Lynn texted that something major happened at home. Maggie lost one of Justin's biggest clients. My curiosity instantly flared. Though Justin isn't much of a person, he's diligent at work. I messaged Lynn, "Holiday Cafe, meet in 20 minutes. Such thrilling news deserves an in-person chat." Sipping coffee by the window, enjoying the breeze, I saw Lynn rushing over with excitement. "Justin's in big trouble this time," she gasped, barely catching her breath as she sat down. "What happened?" I asked eagerly. "A few days ago, Justin met with a major client who said signing this deal would secure his financial future. But during the dinner meeting, Maggie kept frantically calling Justin after arguing with my mom. Eventually, Justin turned off his phone. Maggie then asked his secretary for the address and barged in, disrupting the dinner. When they got back, Justin had a huge fight with her and gave her the cold shoulder for days afterward." Lynn took a deep breath, gulped down a glass of water from the table, and continued. "Justin's luck was just awful. Despite Maggie's scene, he didn't lose the client. But on the day of signing the contract, Maggie, still holding a grudge, tore up Justin's contract and even hid his USB drive." I leisurely took a sip of coffee. "Your brother's such a meticulous person, didn't he have a backup?" Lynn chuckled. "Of course he had a backup. But Maggie's a real piece of work. She physically held Justin back to stop him from leaving." I raised an eyebrow with a smirk. "At first, I just thought Maggie was a bit materialistic, but now it seems she doesn't know her place." Lynn continued, "By the time Justin finished coaxing Maggie and rushed to the scene, the client had already boarded their flight. I remembered an incident before, when Justin left a contract at home and called me to deliver it. I rushed over in a panic, even spraining my ankle along the way, only to be met with a complaint about how slow I was." Lynn interrupted my train of thought. "But it's been almost half a month since I got back, and I haven't seen Maggie contact anyone else." I closed my eyes, basking in the warm sunlight. "No rush, the truth will come out eventually." As soon as I entered the hotel lobby, I spotted a familiar face. "Long time no see, Wendy." Recognizing me, Felix walked over to greet me. "It's been a while. What brings you to City A?" "Here to meet a client." "Are you staying at this hotel?" I pursed my lips and smiled. "I'll stay here for a few days, then go back after getting the divorce certificate." Felix looked stunned, as if he couldn't quite believe it, and asked, "You're getting divorced?" Under his incredulous gaze, I nodded. I waved my hand. "I have things to do, I'll head up first." "Let's grab a meal sometime." Back in the room, I lay on the soft bed, staring into the void before me. Felix was my high school classmate, and back then, we were both prominent figures in school. Our family backgrounds were similar, our ages matched, even our hobbies aligned, so naturally, we ended up together after graduating high school. But his university was in another city, so we couldn't see each other often. Over time, our feelings faded. On Valentine's Day during my freshman year, all my roommates were with their boyfriends. I called him, but he said he was busy with experiments and would make it up to me next time. Later, I broke up with him. He came to see me a few times trying to win me back, but I refused each time. Half a year later, I met Justin. In the middle of the night, I was sound asleep when the ringing phone woke me up. Without checking who was calling, I answered, "Hello?" But there was no sound on the other end. I asked again, "Who is this?" After waiting for a while with no response, I was about to hang up when a voice finally came through on the other end of the line. Justin's voice was muffled, as if he'd had quite a bit to drink. "Wendy, if only we could go back to how things were before. If only you could have children." I laughed in exasperation. Get lost. The day finally came to collect our divorce certificate. I woke up early and waited at the entrance. After standing there for a long time with no sign of Justin, I tried calling him, but he wouldn't pick up. Left with no other choice, I had to ask Lynn for Maggie's contact information. "Hello? Who is this?" Maggie's voice came through the phone. "There's less than an hour left before the divorce office closes. If we don't do it this time, the price won't be the same next time." As soon as I finished speaking, there was a loud click as the call ended abruptly. 20 minutes later, Justin finally appeared in front of me. "Hurry up, they're about to close soon." "Wendy, Justin's words were cut off by a sharp beep from behind. Maggie sat in the car holding their child, urging them to hurry. As the staff handed me the stamped divorce certificate, Justin's and my marriage came to an end. Stepping outside, I breathed in the air of freedom. Seeing how happy I looked, Justin grew even more frustrated. "Wendy, will we ever see each other again?" I turned to look at Justin and suddenly realized how blind I had been. How could I have ever been attracted to someone like him? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Do you even deserve to be remembered by me? The old me had been gentle and kind in front of Justin, and over time, I had almost forgotten that I was actually a straightforward and sunny person. Under Justin's stunned gaze, I turned and walked away with effortless grace. I returned to the hotel to rest when Felix called me. Staring at the phone number on the screen, I felt deeply conflicted. Having just escaped one pit of fire, I had no desire to leap into another. I understood Felix's intentions. He had come to City A to win me back the year I married Justin. Throughout my marriage to Justin, he had called me several times, and each time I had firmly rejected him. Still, I answered the call, wanting to make things clear with him. We arranged to meet at a restaurant. At 7 p.m., I arrived at the address. Looking at the sign outside, I realized it was a couple's restaurant. As soon as I entered, I saw Felix waving at me. "I ordered smoked salmon and escargots for you, your favorites. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like," Felix said eagerly, handing me the menu. "A medium-well filet mignon and a cream of mushroom soup." "You can cancel the order he just placed." I smiled faintly at Felix's awkward expression. After all these years, tastes change. Felix quickly regained his composure. "When are you planning to return to City B?" "Probably in the next few days." Felix had just opened his mouth to ask me something when an angry voice interrupted from beside us. "So this is why the divorce went so smoothly, you'd already found your next target." Justin stormed up to me angrily, with Maggie trailing behind him, her face full of mockery. Maggie glanced between me and Felix, then suddenly put on a pitiful act and ran to Justin's side. "Justin, turns out she already had someone else lined up. And here she was pretending to be so innocent, all while taking a chunk of your money." Provoked by Maggie, Justin grew even angrier and reached out to grab Felix by the collar. I curled my lips and said to him, "Justin, not everyone shares your taste for cheating." Their commotion drew the attention of many around us, and Justin flushed red with embarrassment at my words. Refusing to believe it, he stepped forward and demanded, "Wendy, did you divorce me for him?" At this moment, I truly felt like Justin's brain was filled with mush. I rolled my eyes at him. "We only met a few days ago, and you have no right to meddle in my affairs now." Justin seemed to have just remembered the fact that we were already divorced. He froze momentarily and reached out to pull me away. Watching his movement, I took a step back, and a flicker of hurt flashed in Justin's eyes. The curious glances around us multiplied, with many whispering and speculating about the situation. Maggie, looking extremely awkward, dragged Justin out of the restaurant. After they left, even more eyes turned toward Felix and me. Felix glanced at the prying gazes around us and said, "How about we change to another place? There are a few too many onlookers here." I shook my head, picked up my knife and fork, and started eating the steak. This place tastes good, and it's not my problem. Why should I leave? Let whoever wants to watch, watch. Seeing my calm attitude, Felix suddenly laughed. "You've really changed a lot. The old you would have rushed over to argue with them the moment you heard such words." During the 5 years of marriage to Justin, his family taught me many things. In the first year when I didn't get pregnant, my mother-in-law's attitude toward me was still decent. By the second year, my mother-in-law lost her previous demeanor. She often made sarcastic remarks in front of me, sighing about how the neighbors had grandchildren again, mocking me as a chicken that couldn't lay eggs. At first, I would argue with my mother-in-law and complain to Justin, but as time passed, I stopped reacting. Seeing my attitude, my mother-in-law grew even more furious. That night, I made my stance clear to Felix. He smiled, hugged me, and said he wouldn't bother me anymore. When I returned to the hotel, I saw Justin standing outside my room. Frowning at the drunken figure before me, I asked, "How did you know I was staying here?" Justin slowly moved closer. "One of my clients saw you here, so I followed the address. We're already divorced. Please don't bother me anymore." I tried to speak calmly to Justin. Justin suddenly pulled me into his embrace, tears falling near my ear. "Wife, I regret it. After you left, the house lost all warmth. Now there's only the sound of Maggie and my mom arguing every day." I shoved Justin away violently. "You don't regret divorcing me, you just miss having a free maid. The old me endured everything silently while you and your mother ordered me around and even insulted me at will. You never stood up for me. Coming here now pretending to be sentimental makes me sick." With red-rimmed eyes, Justin shook his head and murmured, "We shouldn't have ended up like this." I turned my face away, refusing to look at him. "Hurry up and leave, or I'll call the police." Justin picked up his clothes from the floor and walked away in a daze. Watching Justin's retreating figure, I quickly swiped my card to enter the room and locked the door behind me. The next day, a former colleague from the magazine contacted me to meet up. Rita handed me a thick envelope. Rita and I had joined the magazine on the same day and had always gotten along well. After I resigned to focus on home, she switched to another magazine working on the entertainment section, and we had kept in touch over the years. "Your ex-husband's mistress has quite a colorful romantic history," Rita remarked, a straw dangling from her lips as she eyed the photos spread out on the table. Ever since I found out about Justin's affair, I asked Rita to help me investigate Maggie, since she knows a lot of people in this field. In the photos, Maggie was seen entering and exiting hotels and shopping malls with different men. Rita's excited voice rang out, "That child was conceived 2 years ago. Counting the days, it should be this man's." Rita pointed to one of the men in the photo. Rita told me that over the years, Maggie had been relying on her good looks to mingle among a group of rich second-generation heirs. 3 years ago, she even got to the point of marriage with one of them, but later the heir's family fell into trouble, his parents passed away, and he himself ended up in prison. Maggie was already pregnant at that time. I recalled that 3 years ago, Justin often didn't come home at night. He must have reunited with Maggie back then. Later, when Maggie got pregnant, Justin probably assumed the child was his. A few days ago, Lynn messaged me saying Maggie has been pressuring Justin to get married, but Justin keeps avoiding her. No matter how much Maggie fusses, Justin remains unmoved. Looking at the photos with different men, it seems Maggie is starting to panic and look for her next option. Maggie has been restless at home every day. A few days ago, she brought up marriage with Justin, but he actually refused. Even when she brought up their child, Justin wouldn't agree. Seeing how the child looks less and less like Justin, Maggie is starting to panic. She needs to make plans early. Since Justin came looking for me last time, I've moved to a different hotel. I booked a flight back to City B the day after tomorrow, so these past few days I'd been saying goodbye to old friends. Lynn found out I was leaving and insisted on staying with me at the hotel for 2 days. Lynn and Rita saw me off at the security checkpoint. Lynn, her eyes swollen, looked at me and said, "Wendy, I'll come visit you when I have time." Rita hugged me calmly and said, "Call me if you need anything." Justin stood not far away, hesitating whether to come forward and say goodbye. I pretended not to see him and turned to walk through the boarding gate. Sitting by the window, I looked down at the cityscape below. City A was a beautiful place, but it held my painful past. Perhaps I would never return here again. As I walked out of the airport, I saw my parents waiting for me at the entrance. I rushed into their arms, tears streaming down my face. I hadn't cried when facing my mother-in-law's harsh treatment, nor when Justin ignored me. I hadn't cried when Maggie provoked me, not even when I found out about Justin's infidelity. My parents held me tightly, comforting me with aching hearts. The house was still arranged exactly as before, and breathing in the familiar scent of home filled me with immense comfort. In the 5 years since marrying Justin, I'd only hurriedly returned 3 times, each visit cut short by my mother-in-law's insistence that we leave. Seeing the streaks of white hair mixed into my parents' locks filled me with guilt. All these years, I'd never properly stayed to accompany them. At least this time I've returned for good. I'll make up for lost time by being filial from now on. After returning to City B, I spent my days either eating or sleeping at home. My parents didn't bother me about it, they were even careful not to ask about my divorce, afraid of reopening wounds. A year ago, suspecting Justin might be cheating, I'd asked Rita to investigate him. When I learned he had a child, I felt something like relief. At least I could claim a larger share of assets in the divorce settlement. I always knew there was nothing wrong with me and thought the issue might lie with Justin. But the appearance of that child made me hesitate. I insisted Justin go for a checkup with me because I knew his arrogant nature wouldn't care about the report. When I got the results, I was overjoyed. It felt like someone had avenged me. Later, I told my parents I wanted a divorce. They wanted to come to City A to support me, but I told them I could handle it myself. Before leaving City A, I sent Justin his report and anonymously mailed copies of Maggie's photos to both Maggie and Justin. By now, their household must be in complete chaos. "Wendy, dinner's ready. I made your favorite cola chicken wings," my parents called, pulling me back from my memories. At the dinner table, Mom and Dad kept exchanging furtive glances. I put down my chopsticks with a smile. "Mom, Dad, what do you want to say?" Dad cleared his throat awkwardly. "Should we say something to Uncle George, the one who's been working with Justin?" Uncle George was the client I introduced to Justin 5 years ago. They've been collaborating ever since, and he's one of Justin's biggest clients. You can tell Uncle George about the divorce. As for whether the business partnership continues, I'm sure Uncle George will know what's best for both companies. After lying around at home for several months, I decided to start focusing on my career. Having been a housewife for 5 years, I'd become somewhat disconnected from society. So I resolved to pick up my pen again and become a writer. I'll start by writing about myself. The day Justin learned Wendy was leaving, he abandoned his ongoing meeting and rushed to the airport, hoping to win her back. But when he actually saw Wendy, he hesitated. He didn't know how to face her. Sitting dejectedly in his car, Justin noticed his phone screen flicker beside him. His eyes instantly lit up when he saw the message was from Wendy. After reading the message clearly, Justin's face turned ashen. He couldn't believe the data it contained. Later, he consulted a doctor who told him his sperm survival rate made the likelihood of fathering children extremely low. Justin remembered when he had reunited with Maggie 3 years earlier. Back then, his mother had pressured him and Wendy daily to conceive, forcing them to take various tonics until the house reeked of medicine. Wendy's complexion had turned sallow from the supplements, and he simply couldn't muster any desire. Justin was drowning his sorrows at a bar when he met Maggie. Seeing her rosy, peach blossom-like face, a surge of impulse welled up in him, and he went to a hotel with her. At first, Justin was afraid. He believed he loved Wendy, but between the melancholic Wendy and the seductively beautiful Maggie, he chose the latter. Later, Maggie told him she was pregnant. Apart from joy, he felt a twinge of guilt, but even that faded after the child was born. When his mother learned of the baby's existence, she and Maggie joined forces to pressure him into divorce. When Justin returned home, his mother stormed up to him with a stack of photos. After seeing them clearly, his blood boiled with rage. On the other side, Maggie also received the photos and was startled. Trembling with fear, she returned home intending to flee with the money. When Maggie got home and saw Justin glaring at her in rage, she was about to explain when Justin threw the photos and medical report in her face. Sensing danger, Maggie tried to abandon the child and run, but Justin dragged her back. When Lynn told me about this, I had already begun a new chapter in my life. Later, Lynn informed me further. That day, Justin beat Maggie half to death, and she barely managed to call the police. Since the two weren't married, Maggie sued Justin for intentional assault. Justin was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Soon after, the company's shareholders voted to dismiss Justin, and the family completely lost its financial support. My mother-in-law wanted to marry Lynn off to a disabled rich heir in exchange for financial support. Upon learning this, Lynn seized the opportunity and ran away again. Later, my mother-in-law took the child for a paternity test, and the results showed they were not biologically related. She screamed at Maggie, blaming her for destroying what was once a happy family and leaving her son with nothing. Maggie took the compensation money, secretly sold some valuable items from the house, and ran away with the child. After listening to the voice message Lynn sent me, I put away my phone. Staring at the document on my computer screen, I began writing the first chapter of my new book. Someone later asked me, if Justin makes a comeback after being released from prison and comes to reconcile with you, would you agree? I think my answer went something like, trash belongs in the trash can. Extra chapter. In the first year after the divorce, I became a writer, started life anew, and lived each day happily and meaningfully. In the second year, my parents began inquiring about my romantic life. I told them my current focus was on living well, and I wasn't considering dating for the time being. In the third year, I published my first book, which received considerable acclaim. I also signed with a literary agency and got along splendidly with my new colleagues at the company. In the fourth year, relatives and friends wanted to set me up on blind dates. At first I refused, but seeing the hopeful look in my parents' eyes, I eventually agreed. My blind date was a police officer, good-looking and exactly my type, with a great personality too. We kept in touch afterwards, and he said he didn't mind that I was divorced. 6 months later, we got together. He was usually very busy with work, but fortunately I was quite busy too, so I didn't miss him all the time. During our free time, we would travel together or stay at home reading books. He often created little surprises to make me happy. In our 5th year together, we got married. My previous failed marriage hadn't shaken my confidence, and our union was very happy, no daily quarrels, no malicious mother-in-law. In our 6th year, I became pregnant. During the pregnancy, he took even more meticulous care of me. No matter how busy he was or how late he came home from work, he would always kiss my face first, then kiss my belly to tell our baby that mommy was working hard. I gave birth to an adorable daughter, and after childbirth, he never neglected me. Whenever the baby cried in the middle of the night, he was always the first to wake up. In the 7th year, my 3rd book was officially published, and I held a new book signing event. At the signing, I spotted Justin standing by the door. He had lost the vigor he once had. If I saw him on the street, I probably wouldn't recognize him. I pretended not to see him. After the signing, my husband stood by the car holding our daughter, waiting for me. I happily ran toward them. My misfortune had long since ended, and a future filled with even more happiness awaited me.